Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Team Fortress Classic Beer League Week 2 Quarterfinals. I'm here doing the pregame show, me being Deeg, along with my friend Repairman. Hello, Repairman.
League. Hey,
How goes it?
everybody. It's going pretty good. It's going pretty good. I'm excited for this week.
Me too. So, the program for today is we're going to recap a little bit about last week, talk about the matchups coming up for this week, and we have some great clips out there from our fellow casters. And thanks to you, Repairman, for pulling those together last minute.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so should we start off by going over the results of the last week's scores, how these teams did?
Yeah, sure thing.
Let me find the actual official league bracket. The one thing I didn't pull up ahead of time. Okay. While we're doing that, we have 3 matches being played tonight. The first one's coming up in 13 minutes. For those of y'all who want to jump over, I think I should say something. That'll be casted by Coach Suze on his stream, OST versus Always. Probably the most lopsided matchup of the weekend, I'm guessing. But Coach is a great
we'll
watch, always.
we'll see. We'll see if that's actually the case. I have it on
Ah,
good authority that there's actually going to be quite a few people missing from Always tonight. So we'll see what impact that has
yeah.
on the game.
Always also a team you can expect periodic shenanigans from, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm showing a blank screen rather than the bracket. Just a second while I fix that.
It's a really nice screen.
Ah, thank you. It's a lovely shade of gray, isn't it? You can thank Jerry for picking that.
Thanks, Jerry.
Okay. That should be working. Okay. So why don't you talk through the first top of the top of the bracket, and I'll talk through the bottom.
Okay. So, last week, I guess the first one we'll start with because, it's the easiest to get through. Thanks versus COVID. COVID just didn't show up. And so Thanks won by default. Everyone's favorite. Good old
Yeah.
forfeit win. Um,
Womp
RIP
womp.
COVID. I don't know what happened. They were doing pretty well, attendance-wise, until the last 2 weeks. They kind of stiffed us on CZ2 at the very, very
True.
end. Um, and then first round of the playoffs, they get basically nobody to show up. So that kind of sucks. You had a good run of it. Glad you were in the league, but disappointing. Disappointing. That would
Yeah.
have been
Find a
I
new
think
leader,
that was
guys.
actually I think that was actually going to be probably the closest game of the
Yeah.
week last week. I think that was the one that there was the most kind of parity in terms of who was predicting who to win.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Then we go to the next one. We had the free agents versus Hello, which turned out to be, it was prodigal. So they're all low scoring games, but ended up by being the most lopsided game of the week,
Mm-hmm.
with Hello pulling out a 5-0 victory. And if you want to pull up some clips, I think we've got
Yeah.
some
Any
highlights.
any order I should go through, or just top down?
They are in the correct order. So yeah,
Ooh, look at
top down.
you. Okay. Let's hook those up. All right. So this clip is free agent flag movement. So
Yes,
this is
this
going
is
to
their
be in
best
round one.
opportunity. Yep, this is their best opportunity to pull a flag.
Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger on the overlay. Yeah. All right, here we go.
Brilliant. There goes the forward gun. Looks like Julie's about ready to make a jump up here.
Oh, coach
You
with the
got a comp
conk.
onto
He's
the
got a
flag?
touch. He's running it down.
Oh, didn't get the throw, but he did get the forward movement.
So what are we seeing here, Repair?
So that is free agents' best chance to pull a flag the entire round. Unfortunately for the free agents, that's the farthest they got the flag. So like we said, prodigal, low-scoring map just
Yeah.
by default. That's about as far as they got it. They did not get it into the proper ramp room. They got it onto the floor, kind of underneath that forward gun, and that was it.
Yeah. Very defensive map, very weird map. It also bears mentioning that the free agents, they're kind of a device that's a function of the league format, which is really the regular season league format, where each week we
Hmm.
have two teams combining. So this is the first time they've had to stand on their own, and we didn't really expect a win from them. But getting the flag out of the flag room would have been nice.
Yeah, yeah. So I would say, just for time's sake, the next one is not particularly interesting. It's
Okay.
that flag returning. They get an almost touch, and then it returns. You get the picture.
Yeah, yeah.
However, going on to the next one, we start taking a look at Hello on offense.
Okay, so this
Couple
is
good plays.
Neon with a nifty double.
Hmm. Part of the strategy here is just see if they can't get some toss downs and then just toss
Oh
it out
my
of the
god.
flag room.
I want to see a spy scout offense. I did want to see that. Spy scout
There's
offense.
Neon with the toss.
We got some movement.
Part of the strategy here is just see if they can't get some toss downs and then just toss
Oh
it
my
out of the
God.
flag near
I
the
wanna
the
see a
tube
spy
in the
scout offense.
quote unquote ramp room. Doug said it's a ramp room, but it's not a ramp room.
Correct.
And then gets a little movement behind the forward gun, gets the toss down, and they eventually do pull that flag with the very
Yeah.
next cap.
That
Or
was
the
the
clip, I should say.
this becomes the winning cap for
Yes.
Hello in this match. Right.
Yes,
Right.
it does. And that will be
Okay.
the next clip,
Yeah,
which
okay.
is also a pretty nice move.
Let's pull that baby up. Here we go. Let's take
No
it down.
guns up. Soldier down.
We have a medic under the ramp with Conk on the flag. He's gonna get it.
Gets one.
Nomad tosses it out towards the lower entrance.
Nomad on
And-
10 life.
Flag going all over the place. It's leaving lower. Oh, it's gone.
There we go.
Neon with the first cap and the winning cap.
So nice
There it is.
ramp slide out. So slight correction. That actually the play that we saw previously wasn't the eventual winning flag. That one did get returned. Immediately after it got returned was this one. I clipped that one because it was just a really nice double conk by Neon.
Got it. Yeah, pretty straightforward game, I'll say.
Yeah.
You know, these are our voices. We casted this match.
Mhm.
Anything that we should add before we talk about the next one?
No, I
Yeah,
don't
I'm feeling
think
pretty
so.
good.
Yeah, feeling pretty good. About covers it. It was essentially, they ended up by winning, I think, 4-0, but it's essentially a 1-0 score. The game's over after the first cap. So
Right. Although for those of us who are putting our hats in the ring for predictions, the game is really not over after the game's over.
it's really not.
Bit
Those
of a
extra
weird-
caps did
Yeah.
matter. So
Yeah, they got me that extra 5 points in the bracket. We'll definitely touch on that here in a few minutes. But before we do, let's have a look at how the rest of it shook out. I gave you the top of the bracket, and one of those matches was a forfeit. I feel like I've cheated you, Repair. Do you want to talk about
That's okay.
TNS Viato, or is it okay if I pick it up?
go right ahead.
I got nothing to say about this match because I didn't have a chance to watch it. I will say that I did favor TNS, and I think that was the general consensus across the league. So not a big surprise. And as their reward for beating Auto, they get to play us tomorrow night. So that's going to be a treat and a
right.
half.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, we're excited about that. We have some clips from the match. Let's go ahead and bring them up. This first one's called TNS Lengthy Pull.
Yes, this is the first flag that they pull, and they were pulling this one for a while. I think they're at close to the 5 or 6 or 7 minute mark of the actual match itself.
Blow their mind. Big pull. A huge pull.
Yeah.
They just inch that one out of there, from the flag room into the ramp room to near the tube, and then
Beautiful conk on the way out of the base.
Huge
yes,
pull.
really nice
Does exist.
move by. He was named Bacon Man. I'm pretty sure that was Mighty Mouse.
Sure. Yeah,
Bacon
that's
Man
kind of
said he wasn't going to be around last week, and there was a Bacon Man in the game, and he was playing really well. So I'm just assuming it was Mighty Mouse.
just assume. Yeah, that does look more like a Mighty Mouse play to me than a Bacon Man play. Love you, Bacon Man. Love you, Bacon Man, especially your spray doppelganger. Okay, this next clip is called Auto Captures Its First.
Yes. So a little bit of context here. final score was 2-1 by TNS.
Very
So this
close.
is a very, very important flag for Otto. It pulls them to within one.
Oh, takes that gun down. Now, will he get the instant track? He gets through. Gun sleeping.
Yeah, that
Gets
gun up top
flag all the way into the
didn't
ramp.
see him at all.
We're 5 minutes into the round. This is the first actual action that's been seen.
Yeah, 50-50 chance whether or not that gun is going to be paying attention.
And they get the conk out clean. Beautiful, beautiful drop to conk out.
And there's no timer up on the screen, so you can't see how much time was left when this happened. But yeah, it seems like the sentry gun really lost this flag for them in that case.
We're 5 minutes into the round.
Yeah. Like I said, it's kind of a coin flip if it's turning right or turning left. And in that case, it was turning right. He was able to just jump right down without much issue. So that forward gun, in our cast, Doug called it a beast. It's really, really strong at preventing people from coming in that main entrance. But people coming from the back of the flag room to the front, not so great.
Yeah, but sluggish.
Yeah.
DY repair S2. What does that mean? Just talking to the chat.
I don't know.
All right. Let's look at the next clip. The end of Otto's season.
I'd like to see him just conk directly onto the flag. Soldiers back. Minute 40 remaining. So many instances. Flag is not down. Oh, that was it right there. That's the game. That's the game in the season. I'd like to see him just conk directly on.
So how long are these teams who got knocked out in this round going to have to wait for season 3? I imagine not long, right? What are you hearing?
There's only gonna be a week between the end of the season and next season, not the 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it was last time. So again, a little bit of context here. There's only about a minute and a half, 2 minutes left. Otto had more flag movement, between its first capture and this. But it was very, very similar. They would touch the flag, they would toss it, it would not get off the platform, and it would just kind of die there. So yeah, that would have been the tying cap had they been able to get some better movement on it, but they unfortunately do not.
Yeah, that toss was like an inch from going over the side. Big difference. Yeah. So it bears mentioning that we are expecting to have the actual first game of the week start up in about a minute. That's going to be Always versus OST, and we're not casting it here. In 30 minutes, we'll be doing Stack versus Hello. But right now, if you want to catch that match, you can open a new tab and go over to Coach Suze's stream. I'll just go ahead and type it in the chat. There it is. That's where that's getting casted.
That's right. Stop watching us and go watch Coach instead. Or you could watch both of them.
I suggest both. People have multiple monitors. Crank the volume up on ours. You'll be good. Okay. So yeah, that's the end of Otto's season. TNS, though, continuing on to the quarterfinals. Any thoughts about Otto's season as it comes to a close this year or this season?
Had a pretty rough ride. I don't remember what their final standings were. I actually have them up here right now. Give me 1 second. They ended up by finishing 4-4.
Okay.
But I feel like they were a stronger team than 4-4. I think they had some rough matchups. That was kind of just the way that the season went with the random nature of it between, who you were teamed with, who you were playing against, who you were playing with, depending upon the map. That's another kind of RNG factor here. I feel like they just had some pretty tough draws throughout the season, and as a result, end up by finishing 4-4. But I feel like they were probably a stronger team than that. I feel like they were probably, under normal circumstances, I think they probably finished closer to like 5-3 or 6-2. They're very, very good team. You're sending people over to Coach Suze's cast here just a second ago. Coach plays for them. Coach is a very, very good player. They've got some other good players on that team. So yeah, looking forward to see what they can manage in season 3, assuming they do return in season 3.
Yeah, I hope they do.
Same.
Yeah, good folks. And yeah, from what we're seeing in the playoffs, then you're going to see here on our stream in 20 or 29 minutes or however long it is going to be a bit different than what we saw in the regular season. So it's a compromise. The regular season format is what it was. I mean, no one said this, but you can deduce to make for more even, more consistently enjoyable TFC games as opposed to what we would otherwise see, which is fairly lopsided games. So I'm expecting to see some fairly lopsided games here in the playoffs. Now that we're having each team show its true strength, rather than having it be kind of an average of two teams' strength on each side. Um, and I think we got to see that last week during the Always versus Auto matchup. So I'm just going to pull that up on the bracket if I can find it. Yeah. Always 3, NWO nothing. Shutout.
Yeah, another typical prodigal score here. Like I said, the biggest blowout we had of the entire week was Hello, who won. Was it 4 or 5 to nothing?
5-0.
5-0. And
Yeah.
one of those captures is in we'll call it garbage time. Snipers, spies, lots of shenanigans going on.
Yeah, in that match, it like for the first, so we're doing two 15-minute rounds. So for the first like 25 minutes, it was like a 1-0, 2-0 game. And then at the end, the floodgates kind of opened and Hello just
Yeah,
ran a train on them. But everyone knew who was going to win at that point, so.
why not have some fun?
Exactly. As you do. So should we look at a couple clips from this Always NWO matchup?
Sure thing. We've only got 2 clips. They're
Okay.
a little bit lengthier, these ones, providing some context. The first one that's on there is actually just the very, very end of the round. NWO played offense the first round, and it's just Neon kind of dissecting what he thinks went wrong with NWO's offense, and I think it was some pretty spot on commentary.
Okay, let's hear what Neon has to say.
The heavy goes down, both engineers go down. Nothing else is contested. I've seen a lot of NWO, besides Zoom, primarily conking past the heavy. They're all just kind of walking in through main, and you're not going to get very far.
Yeah, Moreno's done some of the top conks too. I just think that it wasn't working during the match, at least not from what I saw. So I'm kind of surprised that there wasn't a point where they decided to flex as an offense and say, okay, this isn't working. What if we all push the drop down?
And it's definitely one of those maps where you really do need that sort.
Yeah, so kind of just the way that the match went in its entirety for NWO's offense. They were applying good pressure on the front, but as we talked about, that forward gun really locks it down.
Yeah.
You have 2 engineers, 2 sentry guns, and potentially a soldier backing him up if the heavy weapon goes down. You're just kind of rushing into the entire defense. When we called it with the very, very first match that we did of the week, Hello and free agents, that if that's going to be the defense that somebody runs, the vulnerable spot is the drop down that leads into the back part of the flag room. You more or less bypass that forward gun. You're behind the heavy weapon guy. You're not going to get, a coast to coast very often, but you are going to get some flag movement. You are going to get a toss, and then from there, hopefully, you can kind of inch it out of the flag room. And they just weren't able to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely remember noticing that when we were doing the cast last week. Didn't have the pleasure of playing this, so darn. But it didn't seem like. You see two different versions of TFC, I feel like. When you see a team who's comfortable on a map that they've played a bunch before, the game is totally different to watch compared to people who are coming into a map being like, where are the ramp slide positions? Where are the conk angles? And it's kind of easy to set up a defensive position, but it's a little harder to learn what the proper offensive routes are and where the opportunities for grouping are. So, yeah, we'd see these teams just kind of wash up on the shore of Prodigal and be like, what do? And 15 minutes is not a lot of time to figure out how to throw together an offensive strategy.
No, it's not. And if you're not familiar with the with the map, and you're not 100% sure what kind of strategy you're going to run into, there's very little time to prepare and adjust. If you or I'm sorry, you have time to prepare, but you don't necessarily have time to adjust. If you
Right.
run into something that you're not expecting, you need to on the fly in a very short period of time
Yeah.
figure out how you're going to address this, and they just weren't able to do it, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think one of the top teams from season 1 of the Beer League, Raging, um, it really exemplified that one. The few times we played against them, where we'd see them oftentimes get surprised by novel defensive strategies in the first round of a game and fall behind to an opponent who they were favored against. But in round 2, they'd figured it out. They'd figured out and just stomp them because in that format we were dealing with. Season 1 was it 15 or 20-minute rounds? I guess it was 15 minutes, but you were playing offense and defense both rounds. So you had
Yes.
30 minutes of offense and 30 minutes of defense, as opposed to this playoff format where it's 15-0 and 15D for each team. So yeah. Okay. And we have another clip for this match as well. Always pulls the first flag with a spy. Oh, a spy play. Thank God.
Yes. You don't catch it really, really well, but yes, so because NWO scores 0 caps, this is the winning capture here.
We're going to see the spy coming in shortly. Heard a drop down from up top right. Comes a medic. Heavy goes down. Flag tossed into the heavy spot. There's Nick.
All right,
Soldier,
I am.
you're just in time for always his first cap.
Oh, fantastic.
Off he goes.
Okay.
So yeah,
We're gonna.
if you look at the timer in the top left, it was about, I think, the 13-minute mark thereabouts.
early.
So yeah, relatively early on, they pulled that flag pretty quickly. By the time he bunny hopped back to the flag room to actually capture it, it was close to like only 3 minutes left. Took a while to get there, but you know, that's prodigal for you.
Indeed, that is prodigal. And that's our last matchup of last week. So the other competition happening simultaneously with these Olympian TFC men in the playoffs at the end of the season is, of course, the gambling bracket happening on the side, which I think is where the real action's going on. We have some results from last week to see who's doing well and who's not doing so well in their predictions. Should we have a look at that?
Sure thing. Did I send you the scoreboard?
Yeah, I got it here. I'm just
Okay.
gonna pull it up. I think this is it right here.
Should also say, you know, for the sake of TOS, it's not actually gambling. No one's risking money here. This is.
Oh, you're right. It's not a gambling. It's a contest.
It's a contest. Yes.
Yes.
It's a promotion. Yes. So
The,
no one
the
is
only thing
gambling.
you're gambling is your time.
Exactly.
Thank you for mentioning that, Repair. Good lad. Okay, so we can see the juggernauts here at the top of the ladder. Jalen, Natters, Neon, Nuki, and Prunes, all with perfect predictions from week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Any other trend? Are there any trends that you're spotting in people's prediction habits, Repair?
I mean, we'll go over kind of, you know, what things look like for this upcoming week here in just a couple minutes.
Yeah.
I would say for the most part, you know, as far as the score differential goes, people are settling pretty squarely on the 40 to 60 or 10 to 30 range.
Mhm.
No one's really venturing too far outside of that. Which makes sense. I mean, you know, again, you mentioned the 15-minute round. Something has to be really, really one-sided for someone to run up a 10 plus cap differential.
Yeah.
Not to say that it couldn't happen, but it's not super common. I think, you know, I mentioned this to you a little while ago. I think kind of going forward as the games get a little bit tighter, as we kind of revise this going forward, I think the score differentials are going to get a little bit tighter.
Mhm.
For future predictions, because, you know, they should. The games are going to get a little bit closer, and we want to, you know, make sure that we're not having everybody within, you know, just 1 or 2 categories.
Yeah, right. I think some of the more offensive maps in the OVD scene, average caps of like 6 or 7 is not that uncommon. So it would be uncommon to see differentials that are higher than that are in that 10 range. So it makes sense. That'll give people
Yeah,
more
so
opportunity to get a bad prediction too, which should be good.
yeah, and Frizz is in the chat here too, saying he thinks he aced his weeks 2 playoff predictions. We'll see, Frizz. And then also saying first week being prodigal didn't help. Yeah, that's exactly correct. Not a
Yeah.
particularly offensive map. I think had week 1 and week 2 maps been swapped, like if we were playing Stop last week, the odds of 10 plus differentials would have been much higher.
Yeah.
Much higher.
Yeah, probably right. Do we have anything we can look at for people's week 2 predictions, or do you want to run through the
Yeah.
matches ourselves first?
So we could run through the matches
Yeah.
ourselves really
Let's
quickly. I
talk
did
through it,
also
and then we'll
send
see
you
what the
one
community
with
thinks.
distributions. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So I have the bracket back up, the traditional looking bracket. Let's do it the same as before. You do the top 2, I'll do the bottom 2.
Sure thing. So the top half, we've got It's My Other Team's Fault versus Thanks. I'm going to start calling them Emotef because it just kind of rolls off the tongue a little bit more.
Emotep?
Emotef. Well, with an F instead of
Like
a
the
P.
villain from The Mummy?
Yeah, exactly. IMOTF. Emotef. Anyway,
okay.
You don't have to say it if you don't want to. It clearly makes you uncomfortable.
I'm too dumb to get it.
So It's My Other Team's Fault and Thanks. So It's My Other Team's Fault coming off of a bye. They were the number 1 seed. They had the best ranking.
Yeah.
What's the word that I can't think of because
They were
I'm
the
a
number 1
boomer
seed.
all of a sudden.
Is that it?
They're the number 1 seed. They had the best record.
Yeah.
Okay, best record. God,
Yeah.
I'm an idiot.
They were 6-1 during the regular season.
Yes, they were. So yeah, they're a good team. Made up of kind of a nice mix of newer people and older people. Probably not a roster that people would have kind of dreamt up in their head when they were maybe assembling rosters in their head prior to the season, thinking of who was going to be grouped up with who. But nonetheless, they've had a pretty nice go of it here. And we mentioned some of the RNG that went into the regular season, about how maybe some teams got worse draws than others.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they get a few better draws than other people, but nonetheless, they're the number 1 seed, and for their efforts, they get to play Thanks. I think this is a pretty clear game for It's My Other Team's Fault. I'm kind of expecting them to win this one pretty comfortably, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yep. And that game's going on, I think, in about 15 minutes on one of their channels. Who's casting that? Let me have a quick look. That'll be casted by Azzyface. Am I saying her name right? AZ?
Yeah.
Okay.
Azzy. Okay. I think Azzy. That's fine.
And then the next up is tonight's match, Stack v Hello.
Yep. That's the one that we're going to be doing here, just in about 15 minutes ourselves. This one, I think this one, I don't know. I think the outlook is probably pretty similar to It's My Other Team's Fault versus Thanks. I think the perception is that, Stack is made up of people that have been playing this map for basically 15 years. They have the advantage. They should have the advantage. Similar to what I had said, at the very beginning of the cast, I have it on good authority that Stack will not be playing necessarily with its, top roster. I think there are going to be a couple people missing here. It's just going to be a question of how much does that end up by mattering. They're definitely the favorites. But, the other team, they've got Clummy, they've got Doom Piggy, they've got Neon, they've got Prunes, they've got Nomad. They have some good players, and Neon is obviously part of the in-house crowd himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's very familiar with the map. He's a really going to be a strong presence on both offense and defense for them, assuming he plays both rounds. I know he's always keen to sit for the sake of letting others play. So we'll see what happens there. But
for sure.
I won't say it's impossible, but I think it's definitely an uphill battle. I definitely see Stack winning this one.
Yeah, I think Stack is a comfortable prediction. So the Stack team being composed of some of the longest tenured members of the in-house community, the in-house being the dude sitting on top of Olympus for TFC for the last X number of years. Hello, having some in-housers and some other folks. More of a culture team, I think.
Mhm.
Great team. Both teams awesome. I think Hello. I think it can be any team in the league. And Stack. I think. I wonder if either they have. I wonder if they're a little tired out by this season, because first season they were undefeated, and not only undefeated, but they didn't come close to losing. Really. Um,
Yep.
this season though, they've been paired up with other teams, and so their record was not reflective of their season one performance. So I'm guessing either that they don't really care that much, and maybe we'll see a closer game tonight, or they care a lot and we'll see a one-sided romp. But we'll see. Doug did get in some excuses last week when we were talking about this matchup, saying he didn't know if they'd have enough people. So we'll see
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
happens
Are
there.
you? What do you think the odds are if you had to kind of you know handicap this? What are the odds of a soft throw from Stack?
I think against Hello, the odds of it are kind of low.
Okay.
Yeah. I think for them to soft throw, they would need to have a really good reason to do so. But
Mhm.
I have a sense that, so, we saw some controversy in season one of the Beer League where there were some teams who weren't really necessarily there to win the game.
Mhm.
They had like their own win conditions that were kind of just having fun with each other and with the other team, kind of poking fun at the league format. Uh, and what we consistently saw is that when Stack came up against those teams, Stack always played the same way Stack played. They just played to win, and they scored as much as they could. They're like the Terminators in terms of their mentality, I feel like, because that's just how they know how to play. I expect we'll see more of that tonight. Um,
Okay.
the teams that I would expect hijinks from in this league, in this bracket, would be Always.
Yes.
Because they have our lovely Nick, who was, I think, one of the core members of that season one Baiters team, who made up their own fun win conditions.
Mhm.
And they're going up against Always. That's happening right now over on Coach Sousa's stream. Boy, if we had the technology, I wish we could just pan over to like check in with the cast.
Yeah. So score update. I will at the very least provide a score update
Cool,
for
cool.
those of you that are here and not watching Coach Sue's.
Yeah.
I think it looks like they just finished up with the first round. OST was on offense and they got the goose egg. That's a
Oh,
big 0 from OST. Assuming that coach's scoreboard is accurate here.
yeah.
Scoreboard, it can be a finicky thing, so don't
0
don't
on
entirely
Stop.
quote
That's
me on
pretty
that.
brutal.
Yeah, yeah.
Stop
So
is not.
Sandri,
It's a pretty liquid map. You should see plenty of caps on it.
yeah, yeah. So Sandrito in the chat says, it was close versus the Baiters. Okay, Frizz also updating.
Yeah.
Scoreboard is wrong. OST has 2.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's very true. So the Baiters were kind of a weird team in season one, and that they were probably the second most skilled squad in the entire league. But you had mentioned people kind of playing along with their own win conditions. Yeah, that was also them.
Yeah.
They showed up to try hard versus Stack a couple times, and then otherwise it was just a total mixed bag. What you
Hmm.
could expect from them in terms of what they were going to do on any given night. So
Absolutely.
yeah, no, very
I'm
very
getting
good.
some messages from Doug that they might want to start early, so I'm kind of wanting to just get through this real quick and check in on them.
Okay.
Actually, Repair, if you have the ability to open up TFC, let me send you the server info. You can tell me if they've already started.
Okay. Is it going to
We'd
be
rather
in-house?
start right now. This is come on, guys. You want to start
We'll
the
do it
match
live.
10 minutes early? We're all waiting here for you to join once we go live. All right. All right. I'm telling him we're on the way.